Taigi and welcome to In Taiwan We Speak, your audio guide to Taiwan's mind-blowing linguistic diversity. I am Alexander Shin, and today in Taiwan we speak Taigi, a language also known as Taiwanese, Taiwanese Hokkien, or Taiwanese Minnan. I am joined today by Lîm Sim-An, an app developer and the creator of Taro Taiwanese Dictionary. Hi Sim-An, thank you for joining me here today.
Hello, Oleg. 我是林心安，我是台湾囡仔，我讲台湾话. This phrase has two stories behind it. First phrase is 我是林心安. So Lîm Sim-An is my name in Taiwanese. Actually, until 3 years ago, I didn't know how to pronounce my name in Taiwanese. And I think it's a big deal because it kind of shows how this language is deteriorating, losing its importance to many people, including my parents, because they didn't teach me how to say my name in the language. Yeah, I think that's really important for me to reclaim my name in the mother tongue that I'm most connected to. And the second story is about the second phrase, which is 我是台湾囡仔，我讲台湾话. Because when I was little, I used to get called the opposite by my grandma because I couldn't speak Taiwanese that well, and I often pronounce words in the wrong way. And my grandma would say, "Oh, you sound like a foreigner," and she would go on and say this phrase, which is 你是台湾囡仔，你哪会晓讲台湾话? Which means you were brought up in Taiwan, why couldn't you speak Taiwanese? So right now I feel like I improved my Taiwanese a lot, so I think I can prove to my grandma that if I work hard enough, I can reclaim the language. And although my grandma is not here with us anymore, but I think she will be proud of me if she knows what I'm doing right now. Yeah.
I think she definitely would. I'm sure she would be proud of what you're doing right now because you are an iOS developer, right?
Yeah.
But of all the things you could have made, you created a Taiwanese dictionary. When I was familiarizing with your work and your biography, I had this question whether or not I should also include activist in your introduction, because I feel like what you've created is not just a product there in the market, but it's also, and especially reading the background behind this application that you put out there on social media pages, that you are also advocating for a broader social issue.
Personally, I wouldn't think of myself as an activist. I feel like what I'm doing is just to reclaim my mother tongue, and I think the language means a lot to me because I know people have similar experiences with me where they can't communicate with their grandparents that well. So I regret not being able to speak this language that well before while I got a chance to talk to my grandparents. Yeah, to avoid things like this keep happening. So I think that's the main reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. Yeah.
So it's a part of your personal journey, sort of.
Yeah.
I see. So by the way, I never got to congratulate you with the launch of the application, and it's been already over, I think, almost a year soon.
Not really. I released the app on February. So
February.
Half a year.
Oh, it felt like fall last year.
Nah.
No, okay. Because I know you were working on it already in summer last year.
Yeah, but it's a prototype and it wasn't really a dictionary, so I kind of scrapped that things out.
All right.
Yeah,
congrats with the launch. And I know at some point, Taro Taiwanese Dictionary also peaked in some of the top charts on Apple Store. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm really happy about it.
What place did it get ultimately, the highest point?
Definitely, I remember it was ranked number 1 on the education category where I beat Duolingo for about a day. And then the ranking fell again. So it's fine. Duolingo is a huge company.
But after being beat by Taro Taiwanese Dictionary, did Duolingo consider introducing Taiwanese?
I'm not sure about it, but if they do, then yeah, good for them. But maybe I'll be threatened. I don't know.
Well, obviously Taiwanese is an endangered language right now. Sadly, the question asks itself, does a product like this sell in the market today?
I can't really say much about it because my app currently it's completely free. So you don't really need to pay for the service you get. But by the number of downloads, I can tell you there's still a market for it, because at first I created this app for people like me who is already quite proficient in written Taigi. But after I launched the app and started to manage my social media, I found there's still a lot of people who maybe they're not so good at Taiwanese, but they kind of want to find that part of their heritage, try to connect with it. So they want to like reclaim the language. So yeah, there's still many people like that.
But have you thought about monetizing at some point?
Yeah, that's definitely a future goal, because actually that's part of the reason why I want to make this app, because we're so used to getting taught that doing jobs related to the local languages, including Taiwanese, Hakka, and indigenous languages, you won't have any future. There's no prospects. Like, you can't be successful if you do jobs that's related to them. So I kind of want to break this myth and prove people wrong that, yeah, you can still be successful even if you do jobs that is related to these languages. Yeah.
So you don't have to be a volunteer to actually do this. You can also sort of make your living with this.
Yeah, hope it can become my career.
Right. So let's talk about the app itself. What are some of the features of this application that you are personally proud of, that you would like to showcase to our audience and your potential target audience, your potential users?
So it is essentially a dictionary for the Taiwanese language. And you can not only use written Taiwanese to search the words you want to find, you can also use Mandarin. So it is quite useful for many Taiwanese, because at school we don't really get taught how to write in Taiwanese. So people often have a hard time looking for the right word if they want to say something in Taiwanese. So now they have this tool, they can find the word they want to say in Mandarin. So yeah, I think it's going to be a useful tool for those people. And if you have zero experience with written Taiwanese, that's also fine, because in my app, you can also learn the Taiwanese alphabet, including 2 sets of systems, Dailo and Bewedi. Both types of writing system are supported, so you can just choose the one you're interested in and you can start learning it. Also, not only the alphabet, but the tones and the tones handy rules. It's all included in the app.
Oh my God, the tones handy rules in Taigi is just something that pushed me to give up trying to understand the language. Yeah, I had a question just now that I really wanted to ask. Oh yeah, and the app also has an English version, right? So people from outside of Taiwan who don't speak Mandarin, they can start learning Taiwanese. Or do you think it would be a little bit too difficult for them?
I think right now, at this stage, it's still a bit early for English speakers to use this app, because mainly the dictionary data is in Mandarin and Taiwanese. Yeah, I think English speakers might find it difficult to use, but in the future, I hope to support English language as well, because I know a lot of foreigners are interested in our culture, and Taiwanese is definitely a huge part of it.
And I've heard also overseas Taiwanese communities, there's quite an interest for learning Taigi, right?
Yeah.
Especially American Taiwanese or Canadian Taiwanese.
Oh, actually, I got some feedback from Taiwanese Americans. They say my app is really useful for them, although they can't speak Mandarin that well, but they can still manage to use Mandarin to find the word they want to find. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And what about the language database that you use for the application? Where is it from?
It's from the dictionary of the Ministry of Education. So they kind of open up their database to the public, so you can use it, monetize the data they provide. So I saw that by chance, and I think I just came up with this idea to make an app to let people have better access to this piece of data. Yeah.
The app is called Taro Taiwanese Dictionary. Why Taro?
It's called Taro Dictionary in English. However, it's not about taro. It's actually about dessert made from taro, which is called Yi in Taiwanese and Yuyuan in Mandarin. Oi is one of my favorite desserts in Taiwan.
The taro bowls.
Yeah, taro bowls.
Right.
But when I name the dictionary in English, I find it too hard to say. If you say taro bowl dictionary, it sounds a bit funny. So yeah, I just went with taro.
Taro bowls are actually quite a popular dessert in Taiwan, right?
Yeah, we use the toppings a lot in our desserts, like bubble tea and, for example, 豆花,
Yeah.
捣灰.
Yeah. And the logo, of course, is purple, which
Yeah.
resembles the color of many drinks that are made of taro, right?
Yeah.
They turn purple for some reason.
Yeah.
Right. It's a very cute logo, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, speaking about your background and the motivation behind your starting to build this application, you once mentioned in one of your interviews that there are no backward languages, but only languages whose development has been hindered. This word backward, is that the perception that you yourself grew up with?
Yeah, definitely. I can come up with a lot of examples. First of all, like when I was a kid, my parents would only speak to me in Mandarin. And when I turned around and spoke to my grandparents, they would just use Taiwanese. And they will use Taiwanese among themselves. So this kind of gave me the impression that Taiwanese is a language that you use among old people, like the older generation. And for the younger generation, we should speak Mandarin. And besides, after we enter school, the school system, we will start to get taught that Mandarin is called 国语, which is the national language of Taiwan. And other languages in Taiwan are called dialects, 方言, including Taiwanese. So when I was little, it made me feel like maybe Taiwanese is not a language by itself. It's only a different way to pronounce words in Mandarin, which is totally wrong. But calling Taiwanese a dialect just made me feel like it is somewhat inferior to the proper way of talking, which is Mandarin. Yeah. And in media as well, people who speak in Mandarin with a heavy Taiwanese accent will get mocked. And also the word Thai, like the Thai from Taiwan, it is an adjective, and it used to be quite negative to describe someone who is unsophisticated. But nowadays, the word Thai has kind of changed its meaning and has managed to mean something more positive, because I think people's perceptions for Taiwanese culture and the Taiwanese language have changed little by little. So I think it's a good tendency.
And you did once mention somewhere that Taiwanese language can indeed be modern, fashionable, and cute. Of course, I would like to ask you to teach us some of the modern, fashionable, or cute language in Taigi, but we'll leave that for the second part of our interview. For now, to continue with this conversation, of course, I guess for users of your application from the App Store, they would just download the application, and for them it could just seem like an app. But for those who also follow your work and the application's social pages, they will see that you also put out a lot of non-technical conversations, right? You don't just promote your app, but you also promote conversations on the language, on the history of language oppression in Taiwan, but also in modern-day China. And you talk about your own history, your relationship with this language, and your motivation behind trying to undo the harm that has been done. Why is it important for you not to just promote the app, but also have those conversations on the official pages of the application?
I think what I am essentially doing on my social media platform is to share about my personal experience of how I reclaim my mother tongue. And I think to be true to myself, I also need to talk about some of the heavier subjects, including politics, because I think people often don't realize that language is about all aspects of our lives, including politics. Like, language can be really political. For example, like Oleg has said, previous governments, including the Japanese regime and the KMT, they both kind of use language as a tool to enforce this Japanese or Chinese identity on Taiwanese people. And the reason why they suppress the local languages of Taiwan is because they want to stop people from having this identity independent from the identities they want to promote. So nowadays, people are so used to speaking Mandarin, but I think we tend to forget what Mandarin stands for. Like if you look at history, it's actually telling us there is a strong Chinese ideology behind the language of Mandarin, because the KMT, they use Mandarin as a tool to kind of tell people they are Chinese instead of Taiwanese. So that's why I think it's important to have this conversation and let more and more people be aware of this part of language. Yeah.
I totally understand you being a Korean Ukrainian who only spoke Russian until the age of 7, what kind of importance these conversations have. And I did both of my master's and bachelor thesis about language planning and policy. Yeah. So you don't have to explain this to me, but I guess some people might wonder, are you not afraid as the owner of this product that these heavy talks might draw some of your potential users away?
By the social followings I'm getting right now, I think that wouldn't be a big concern, because I think people are actually interested about this kind of topics, and I'm just sharing my learning journey, and I hope people can learn with me. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that sharing.
Thank you.
That is all for today, and this is a 2-part interview, so dear listeners, please do come back next week for the second part of our conversation with Lîm Sim-An, where he will be teaching us some very useful Taigi words and phrases. Thank you, Sim-An, for your time, and everyone else, thank you for listening. My name is Oleg. See you next week.